Hello and welcome to Lost Love Chronicles. My name is Albert Croft and I'm a business manager for a financial firm. I just turned 32 last month and have been married to the love of my life, Maria, for the last 8.5 years. We've got two boys, Danny who is 6 and Kenny who is 7, and we live in a huge box of a house in the suburbs just outside of Atlanta. We've got a shitload of friends who live in our same neighborhood and most weekends are spent going over to someone's house for either a party or barbecue. Where we used to live, when we first got married, I also had a ton of friends, but Maria didn't care for most of them. They weren't quite as refined as our current ones and could care less what kind of car you drove or how big your house was. They were a burly group that loved to party but would give you the shirt off their back as you needed it. When Maria made the decision, we needed to upgrade to, as she put it, a nicer area. We had our first big fight. Our house was only 15 minutes from where we both worked and had been a fixer-upper, so our house payments were pretty low. I'm what you'd call a laid-back kind of guy and could care less about the finer things in life. I'm like my wife who was always looking for something better. So when Maria said we needed to move, I put up a fuss for about a week and then thought, what the hell? You see, most things really aren't worth arguing about. A car, a house, clothes, they're just material things that in the end don't mean squat. So when Maria dug in her heels, I just let it roll off my back. It just wasn't worth the energy it would take to argue with her about it. In fact, I can count on one hand the number of fights Maria and I've had over the last 8 years. That is until last night. Maria works at an interior design studio owned by one of our neighbors. She works from 9 a.m. until 3 p.m., so she can get the kids off to school in the morning and be home when they get off the bus. I, on the other hand, work from 8 o'clock until 5 o'clock. Depending on traffic, I get home usually about 5:45 now. When we lived in our last place, I was home and had a beverage in my hand by 5:50. Tuesday night there was an accident on the road and I didn't get home until almost 6:50. I was a little stressed by the time I got to my driveway but thought, what the hell, at least I was finally home and could relax with my bride. I snuck in the back door and went upstairs to change into a pair of shorts and an old t-shirt. I was walking down the stairs towards the kitchen when I heard Maria on the phone. Don't worry, Peg, you know Albert. He'll go along with anything I say. I could hear Maria tell her sister. No, you won't get mad, and I think I know my husband a little better than you do. I've got it all worked out and I plan on talking to him tonight after dinner. Yes, I'll call you and tell you what he says. Well, gotta go, girl. I've got dinner to finish. Talk to you later, Maria said, hanging up. What do we need to talk about? I said as I walked around the corner. Albert, you startled me, Maria said as I came into view. Let me ask again. What do we need to discuss that has to wait until after dinner? I asked, getting a beer from the refrigerator and sitting down at the kitchen table. Let's wait until after dinner when the boys are upstairs. All right, what did they do this time? I talked to them about the go-kart and not hitting golf balls in the backyard. What else could they have done since Saturday afternoon? It's not about the boys, it's us. Well, I haven't done anything bad since grabbing your bum at Frank's Grill last Friday night. And the only reason I did that is because you looked so hot in those new jeans, so it must be you. What did you buy this time? I asked, trying to add a little levity to our conversation. I'm not talking about that. It's about how we feel about each other, she started to say. Well, babes, you know I love you, and I know you love me. So what's the problem? Albert, you know I love you, she said, holding my hands in hers. But I'm not sure if I'm still in love with you anymore. What? I don't understand, Maria. I told her, not liking where this conversation was heading. If you've got something to say, just spit it out. You're the best and most thoughtful husband in the world and a great father, she said, touching the side of my cheek. But I'm just not sure I feel the same way about you as I did when we got married, Maria said with this concerned look on her face. I'm thinking about a trial separation so I can get my feelings sorted out. Maria, I don't understand. When in the hell did all this happen? Before or after we kissed goodbye this morning? I said, now getting more than concerned where she was going with this. I've been thinking about it for a while but didn't want to say anything until I was sure what I wanted. I don't understand. Where do you want to go? I asked. Well, I'm thinking about you moving in with your mother for a while. Since your dad died, she's been bouncing around that big house by herself. Maybe she'd like some company for a little while, Maria said, like she was talking to a little child. Now I was starting to get angry but held it inside. How are you going to pay for the house and everything else if I leave? I asked, fully knowing what was coming next. Well, you'll still have to make the payments, but it won't be forever. Just until I have a chance to sort out a few things, she said in her most loving and caring voice. I stood up. No. What do you mean? No, a surprise, Maria replied. Maria, what the hell about no? Don't you understand? No, I'm not moving in with my mother. And no, I'm not leaving my house and 2 sons. If you need to leave and get your head and bum wired together, go for it. I don't want you here either if you're not in love with me anymore, as you so eloquently put it. So, since I'm a great guy, I'll even help you pack, I said, slamming my beer down on the table and walking up the stairs to her bedroom. It shocked the heck out of Maria when I came back downstairs with an armful of clothes from her closet. "Put these in your car, and I'll be down with the next load in a minute," I said, tossing them on the living room couch and running back up the stairs. When I came down with the next handful, Maria started yelling at me to stop. "I thought you wanted a separation. I'm just helping you move your stuff out, that's all," I told her in a calm voice. At this point, I crossed the line from love and was moving into the hate category in my feelings for her. Or as I like to now call it, the dark side. "I want you to leave, Albert," she now yelled at me. "That's not going to happen, Maria. This is my house, and I've done nothing to either you or the kids to warrant you kicking me out. Now, if you want to move down into the basement, I can put your stuff down there," I told her as I dumped my second armload clothes on top of the others. This was not going as Maria had planned. "Albert was supposed to tuck his tail between his legs and move out without saying a word," she said to herself. "He wasn't supposed to put up a fuss. Now what the hell do I do? Let's talk about this like two adults, Albert." "Maria, I think you've said enough. At least I now know how you really feel about me. So make up your mind. Where do you want your clothes? Because you're sure as hell not staying in my bedroom any longer," I said, trying my best to stay calm. When our sons Danny and Kenny walked through the door, they wanted to know what was going on. "Mom's just moving some of her stuff, that's all. How about if we go out and get a few burgers and let her finish?" I didn't have to ask twice. We were gone and back within 45 minutes with the food. However, we came back to a few extra people, 2 policemen. "Evening, officers. Can I help you?" I asked, getting out of the car and telling my sons to go inside. "We got a call about a domestic dispute and need a word with you," the big one told me while keeping his hand on his gun. Looking at his hand, I said, "Officer, you won't need that," as I explained what I had come home to. I haven't raised my voice, threatened her nor my kids, but told her I wasn't leaving my house. "My name's on the mortgage, I pay all the bills, and unless there's a court order floating around, which I strongly doubt, I think I'm well within my rights to be here." I told my wife if she wasn't happy with me, she could move out and I'd even help her pack. They both snickered and got a kick out of my dilemma. Maria was hot to say the least when the policeman told her there was nothing they could do. However, they did say that they would file a report stating that I was calm and presented no danger to either my family or myself, but that Maria was ranting and raving and using profanity and talking to us about her husband. Finally, that I had only wanted to help my wife load her personal items into her car. That was all they witnessed. I thanked them, shook their hands, and they wished me good luck. Maria was now fuming that she hadn't gotten her way. "Albert, why don't you just leave and make it easier on all of us?" she shouted at me. As I said, "Maria, that's not going to happen. So decide where you want your stuff, in the car or the basement. It's your choice. The boys and I are going to eat out on the deck, so think very carefully about what you do next," I said, grabbing the food and heading out to the deck where my boys were waiting. "What's wrong with Mom? Who knows, maybe she had a bad day at work. Guys, let's give her some space. You know Mom, she'd be back to her old self in no time," I told my boys, but I didn't believe one word coming out of my mouth. We ate and then watched a special about the X Games that were going on in Atlanta. It wasn't until almost 8:30 before we finished. "Why don't you guys go upstairs and let me see what's going on with your mother?" I told them. "I'll be up later to check on you." They went upstairs and I went looking for Maria. She was gone and had left her clothes piled on the couch where I dumped them. I went upstairs and noticed a few drawers opened and 2 of her suitcases missing. "Well, I guess that answers that," I said, sitting on the bed wondering what was going to happen next. How I left the loving wife and family at 7:15 this morning, and now at 9 o'clock tonight, I had my 2 boys but no longer had a loving wife. Life really sucks sometimes. "Mom, I need a big favor," I said as I called my mother. I gave her the short version and asked if she'd come over and see that the boys got off to school on time and to be here when they got home. Maybe Maria's hormones are just acting up. She'll probably be back as soon as she realizes what a fool she made out of herself, but I'll be over in the morning just to make sure. I thanked my mom but said I wasn't quite as sure as she was. I was right. Maria didn't come back Wednesday or Thursday. She did call the boys Thursday afternoon to say hi to them, but not to me though. I guess I was still the a-hole. By Saturday morning I was concerned but pissed also. "You've got no one but yourself to blame," I said as I started to beat up on myself. "If you hadn't been such a milquetoast all these years, Maria never would have tried to kick you out of your own house. Now she's sulking at her parents and telling everyone what an insensitive louse I was for not considering your feelings. Screw her and this damn house," I said, looking around. "I never wanted it and it's way too big for just the 4 of us anyway." Peggy, Maria's sister, did come over Sunday afternoon to pick up a few things for her. "Hey Peg," I greeted her at the door. "I figured she'd send you over to get some more of her clothes. How's she doing? You know Maria, it's all about her. She still can't get it through her thick skull why you just didn't roll over for her and give her the house, kids and move out," she said with a smile. I told her you wouldn't go along with it, but she told me she knew you better than I did. Guess she was wrong. I should have kicked her to the street a long time ago, but I figured I'd keep peace in the family by not saying anything. Guess I was wrong. Any idea when she plans on coming back? Not a clue. She's still in the poor, permy stage, but mom's ready to kick her out if she doesn't get it together. But you know Dad, his little girl can do no wrong. You want to stay for dinner? We're having chicken on the grill, baked potatoes and corn on the cob. Let me get her stuff together and you've got a deal, she said with a smile. The boys were happy to see Peg and we all had a nice dinner together. She did get 2 text messages from Maria asking her where the hell she was, but she never responded back to her. We all cleaned up, and it was close to 8 o'clock before she said that she'd better get going. Thanks for stopping by. It was nice to see a friendly face for a change. If you need anything, give me a call. I told my sister she's screwing up a good marriage, but her friends are all telling her to stand your ground and that you'll soon come around. I told her you wouldn't, am I right? Right as rain, girl. But you better go before you get in more trouble than you're probably in right now. Paige gave me a big hug, a kiss on the cheek, and was out the door. Married the wrong sister, I said to myself. The next 3 weeks were hard. Mom took care of the kids, and now Maria would call the boys. She refused to talk to me. She did, however, send me 2 long emails about how bad she was feeling, that I wasn't being a supportive husband, and a whole bunch of other bullshit. The one thing that kind of surprised me, though, was I was no longer invited to the neighborhood get-togethers, but Maria was. I guess they'd already taken sides. The kids were the first to notice it and kept asking when their mom was coming back home. Not sure, guys, it's really up to her. I'm not keeping her away, she's doing that all on her own. I told them, it was Saturday morning, while we were food shopping, that my life started to turn around. I was walking down an aisle with my 2 sons when someone grabbed me from behind and lifted me off the floor. You're so stupid, you're probably ironing your shorts now too, came a voice out of the past to mock me. If this is as high as you can lift me, you're still the out-of-shape piece of crap you've always been. What Carol sees in you I'll never know, I said laughing. I thought you dropped off the face of the earth. What are you too good for us anymore now that you've got that big house? Randy asked, letting me down. I've always been too good for you. You just never realized it, I said, giving him a hawk. Your boys are growing up fast. What has it been, 2.5 years? Something like that. How are Carol and the girls? Still riding roughshod over me like always. How's Maria? I paused for a minute. Pretty good, I replied. That bad, huh? Hey buddy, if you're not doing anything with your new highbrow friends tonight, I'm having a little get-together, and we'd love to see you guys. What time? I said, looking at the boys. Any time after 4 o'clock, and bring your own poison. That is, if Maria still lets you still drink beer. Randy ribbed me. It's a date. Anything I can bring? Nope, just yourselves. Well, I'd better get my butt in gear or Mama will have it. See you guys later, Randy said, walking back down the aisle. Was that Uncle Randy? My 2 wide-eyed boys asked. Yes, that was Uncle Randy, and we'd better get a move on. This is one party I don't want to be late for. We at Randy's place just after 4:30. Carol came out and gave me a big hug, and her girls grabbed my boys and headed for the backyard. Where's Maria? Carol asked. That's a whole other story, I said. Well, I'm glad you and the boys made it. Everyone will be glad to see you, Carol told me. And they were. The group treated us like we'd never left. The kids and I had the time of our lives. At the end of the night, after most of the group had left, Carol, Randy, and I sat down. They wanted to know what happened between Maria and I. All I could do was shake my head and tell them I didn't have a clue. We never fought. Hell, we never argued, I told them. Maybe that's the problem. I let her do whatever she wanted to keep peace in the family. Hell, I was getting all the sex I wanted, and I thought Maria was happy. Who knew? Carol said it was probably just a woman thing. But I told her I thought it went deeper than that. You don't tell your husband that you love them, but you're not in love with him. That's a bunch of double talk. It never dawned on me that Maria might be fooling around, but right now, I wouldn't bet against it. I'm going to keep my eyes open, my mouth shut, and see how it all plays out. No more Mr. Nice Guy. From now on, it's my kids first and me second, and the hell with everyone else. Especially my fair-weather neighborhood friends. Every week, Peggy would come over on Sunday to get a few more of Maria's clothes. She would always stay for dinner, and I found myself kind of looking forward to her visits. I would drop off my boys over at Maria's mom's house on Saturday mornings and hope to talk to Maria. But after the first blow-up, I found it easier just to drop them off and leave. In this way, there would be no confrontations on the front lawn again. I went from anger to almost giving in before finally getting depressed. Hell, I felt like a damn alcoholic going to the 7-step program. I even tried to get answers from Maria by sending her weekly email telling her how much I loved and missed her, but I got nowhere with her. Albert, please be patient, my love, she wrote. I just want to resolve these nagging issues so they won't crop up later on. I know it's been tough on you and the boys, but just hang in there a little while longer, she wrote. At least it gave me hope. After 3 long months and while doing the Sunday dishes, Peggy shot a hole through my chest. Maria went out on a date last night, and it wasn't the first one, she said without looking at me. I told her she was crazy, but she went anyway. I thought you should know, she said, still avoiding my eyes. I didn't say a thing. I just stood there with a soaky washcloth in my hands while it dripped on the floor. Didn't you hear what I said? Peggy said, now looking at me. She went on a damn date. Say something, goddammit, she yelled at me. I was too stunned or shocked to say anything or even move. For the first time since Maria left, I thought about my life without her. Sure, I've been angry and ranted and raved a few times, but I always thought she'll be back and we'd be happy again. Now for the first time, I thought that might not happen. Earth to Albert, are you alive? Didn't you hear what I just said? Peggy repeated as she now pounded on my chest. Snap out of it. Your damn wife is out there screwing around on you and all you can do is just stand there. I grabbed her hands and then put my arms around her. My eyes filled with tears as I could hear Peggy start to cry. It's not fair. You're such a nice guy and all she's doing is taking advantage of you. It's not right, she said, holding me now. No, it wasn't right, and I finally snapped, throwing the wash rag against the wall. No more. I yelled as the kids came into the room to find out what all the yelling was about. Dad, what's going on? They asked. And Peggy slipped on the floor, and when I went to catch her I hit my knee, that's all, I explained to my two boys. Remember, we've still got that movie to watch and we're waiting on you too, they said, walking back to the living room. Peggy and I sat on the couch and my boys sat directly in front of the projection TV. I'd seen Spider-Man 3 twice and they'd seen it at least 6 as we all watched in silence. I'm sorry, Peggy whispered to me as she held my hand. I was still in a daze and was now well into the dark side. In my mind I was planning my next moves. Not revenge just yet, but ones of self-preservation. After the movie I chased the kids to bed and walked Peggy to the door. You okay? She asked. No, but I'll live. Call me if you need anything or just want to talk, she said, kissing me on the cheek. You know she's an idiot, Peg said, walking out the door. Call me. Monday, I called in and took a vacation day. I got my kids off to school and then hit the computer. We had 2 Visa credit cards with outstanding balances. I paid off both and closed the accounts. I then went to the bank and transferred 50% of what we had left into a new account in my name only. They told me it would take 6 business days to remove my name from the existing accounts. I called the HR department where I worked and removed Maria from my life insurance policy for 401k, medical and dental insurance. It was now 11:30 a.m. I changed the locks on the house myself, including changing the security codes on the front door and the garage door opener. Going to the mall, I canceled my cell phone plan, which cost me an extra $250 fee, and started a new plan in my name only. Wait until Maria tries to use her cell phone, that should get a rise out of her, I said with a smile, the first smile that had crossed my lips in a long time. I left the home phone number the same but put a message on the answering machine that if they wanted Maria to call her at. And then I gave her parents' home phone number. It was now 3:45. The kids came running into the house like always. Guys, I need your old house keys. I changed the locks and here are your new keys, I said, handing them each a new key as I took their old ones and threw them in the trash. All done, I said to myself. And it only took 8 hours to go from happily married husband to a single parent. I knew it was just a matter of time before the explosion would hit. That night the home phone rang, and I told the kids to let the machine pick it up. What the hell do you think you're doing, Albert Croft? My cell phone doesn't work, and neither do my credit cards. I need you to call me right now, and tell me why you're acting like such a shit. Maria only called me by my full name when she was really angry. It had taken me only 8 hours to push her over the edge, whereas it had taken me over 3 months to lose it. Peggy called and said she was on her way over. Grabbed the kids because we were all going out to dinner. She pulled up, ran up to the door, and told us all to get our butts in gear. What's the big hurry? I asked. Maria and my parents are getting ready to come over and have a heart-to-heart with you. So if you don't want to hear a bunch of bull, come with me. We ended up at Sonny's barbecue. It wasn't my favorite, but when Peggy asked where everyone wanted to go, I got outvoted 3-1. The food was good, and we were all having a good time. You know I changed the locks, don't you? I figured that when I heard you canceled her credit cards, cell phone, and insurance. She told my parents you cleaned out the checking and savings accounts. That's when Dad got mad. I took exactly half, but only after I paid off all the credit cards she's been using for the last 3 months. That girl sure knows how to spend. I figured that, but you know Dad. Lord and protector of his little girls, even when they're wrong, Peg told me. What are you going to do now? She asked. Nothing, I told her. Nothing? Nothing other than putting that monstrosity of a house up for sale. I've hated that house from day one, and even if we eventually get back together again, I want that house gone. You can't sell that house without her consent, you know. I know that, but when the for sale sign goes up, we'll be the talk of the neighborhood, I told her, smiling from ear to ear. We stayed away for almost 3 hours. However, it was still a school night, and the kids needed to get to bed, so we finally headed for home. Are you and Mom getting a divorce? My kids asked when I put them into bed that night. We asked Mom and she said no, but she doesn't live here anymore. Kids, I can't say yes or no right now. You know your mom and I love you very much, but I don't think she wants to live with me anymore, so we'll just have to wait and see what she wants. I kissed them both goodnight, told them I loved them, and it would all turn out okay. I grabbed a beer and gave one to Peggy as we sat at the kitchen table. You know you can't hide forever, don't you? Don't plan on it. She knows where I live and work, so it won't be too hard for her to find me. And find me she did. At work Thursday, Maria came storming into my office. How dare you cancel my credit cards and cell phone, she started. And when did you change the locks on the house? Hello, Maria. You're looking nice. How have you been? Me. Oh, I've been fine, and the boys really miss you living with us. Yes, I've lost a few pounds. Thanks for noticing. I just kept babbling at an astonished Maria. Albert, what the hell are you talking about? She finally asked. Just answering all the questions you should be asking after not being apart from our family for almost 4 months, that's all. Now if you'd like to sit down and talk, that would be nice. But if you're going to yell and scream, I'm going to have to ask you to leave, because after all this is a business office. All right, Maria said as she sat down in front of my desk. Why did you do all those things last week? Why did you start dating? Aren't we still married, or have I missed something? I asked. It was just dinner with a friend, that's all. Did you sleep with him? No, I didn't sleep with him. It was just dinner, I told you. Are you going to sleep with him? I asked. Albert, why are you asking me all these questions? I just want to know what my timetable is, I told her. What timetable? Maria asked. Why our divorce? I told a shocked Maria. I don't want a damn divorce, Maria shouted back at me. Well, you're acting like you do. Dating, ignoring your husband and kids, buying new lingerie for someone other than me, all the signs of moving on with your life without us. Maria, they still send the credit card bills to the house, so I know what you buy, just not for who. I told you, I don't want a divorce. All I need is a little time to myself, that's all. She told me for about the 10th time, but this time I wasn't letting her off the hook. How much time, Maria? How much more time do you need? I asked. I don't know. How can I answer that when I don't know? She replied. Well, when you find out, please let me know, but it better be soon if you expect to try and save this marriage, I said, standing up. So, if you don't mind, I still have a job to do, and I've got a meeting in 20 minutes. She tried to kiss me goodbye, but I turned my head. She wasn't at all happy but said nothing. That evening Peg came to the house and we had a long conversation. How much longer are you going to keep this charade of a marriage up? This weekend, I told her. If Maria's not back by Saturday morning, I'm going to see a lawyer. If she doesn't know by now, she never will, I told Peg. I'm not going to say a thing to the kids because my mom is planning on taking them out of town Friday after school. So, by this weekend I'll at least have my answer. Peg seemed more than a little disappointed with my answers. We picked up the kids and all went home to prepare dinner. It was a quiet night between Peggy and I before she announced that she had to leave. I walked her out to her car and held her for more than a moment before she got into her car. I leaned in, gave her a peck, and she drove off. My email that night to Maria was short and to the point. If you've not moved back 100% and ready to be my wife and mother to our kids, I'm calling it quits. Your time is up. It's decision time. Tuesday night Maria called and said she was moving back in. She said that she'd taken off Friday and that we'd have all night to talk. I was elated but sorry at the same time. The week dragged. Maria called me every day, and so did Peg. Peg said that Maria was very excited about coming home, and that she wished us both the best. When I came home Friday night, Maria was there waiting for me, drink in hand. I grabbed her, hugged her, and it felt so weird after 4 months. We ate. We talked, and then talked some more. We both knew what was coming as the hours ticked by. It was like we were both avoiding what was coming next. I was in bed waiting for her when she came out of the bedroom, completely naked. Maria, before you come to me, I have to ask you a question. How long has the affair been going on, and please don't insult my intelligence by telling me it just happened. I told her. 6 months, Maria said, not meeting my eyes. But it's over. I broke it off a while ago, she said with this scared look on her face. So in other words, the real reason you left was to be with him. Is that right? It started out that way. That's why I need the time alone to decide who I wanted. So, you've been screwing him all these months, and now you expect to just waltz back into my life like nothing happened? Like I'm supposed to just say, it's okay honey, I'm just glad you're back. Bullshit. Albert, did you fool around with anyone else while I was gone? Maria asked. What does that have to do with anything? We're talking about you having a lover for the last 6 damn months. I just want to know how damn sanctimonious you really are, she replied. Well, Maria, unlike you, I was still sticking to my vows, I said, getting out of bed. Now that I know what a lying 304 I'm married to, I can make the hard decisions I've been putting off all these months. Albert, I came back to you. It's over. I made a huge mistake and I admit it. I'm not proud of what I've done, but I'm asking for another chance. I love you and am begging you for another chance to make our family whole again. Please. What the hell was I supposed to say when she put it to me that way? No? I need to think about it, Maria, but I can't do it sleeping next to you. Right now I too damn angry. Just tell me it wasn't one of our friends or someone I work with, I asked. It was someone I met through work and it's over, she said for the second time. I slept in the spare room Friday and Saturday night. It was lonely, but I needed to make some hard decisions going forward. We talked all weekend. She told me to ask her any question, and she would answer them truthfully. I didn't want to know any of the details but did ask why. It was exciting at first, and I felt like a naughty teenage girl keeping something from her parents. He paid more attention to me in 1 week than you had in the last 2 years. I just fell under his spell, but it didn't last. After a while the newness rubbed off, and we were just screwing because it physically felt good. We both decided it wasn't worth it, and neither one of us wanted our spouses to find out. So that's the short version. I realized I'd made a mistake and wanted you back. By Sunday morning my mind was too full of issues and I needed a break. Dinner at her mom's house was something that had been missing all these months. She put on a huge spread and everyone seemed to be in a good mood except her mom, Peggy, and I. As we got up to leave, her mom hugged me, put something in my pocket and whispered for me to call her tomorrow before kissing me on the cheek. The next 2 weeks were hectic. I was still sleeping in the spare room, and the kids were happy to have their mother back with them. I took off Friday afternoon and drove home to take care of a few items I couldn't do after working hours or at night. I turned off my cell phone because I didn't want to be disturbed, and when I turned it back on there were 12 messages from Maria. I took out a beer and was just about half finished when she came flying through the door waving an envelope. "What the hell is this, Albert?" she shouted at me. "What does it look like, Maria? Why did you have me served?" "I thought we were going to try again," she yelled at me. "We almost were, Maria, but that was when it was just the two of us," I told her. "There's no hope now for the three of us," I said to a shocked Maria as she sat in a chair. "You see, I was leaning your way because of the kids and all the good times we'd had in the past, but something new came to light 2 weeks ago that put our marriage in the shitter," I told her. "How did you find out?" "No one knew," she replied. "Does it really make a difference how I found out, Maria? So you were going to just play me along, like some stupid sucker, and make me believe it was mine? You really are a piece of work, you know that, Maria? It wasn't supposed to happen. I'm so sorry, Albert. I don't love him, only you. We can take care of this, and then go back to the way we were," she now pleaded. "He's given me enough money to take care of it so his wife doesn't find out either." She was digging a deeper hole with every word that came out of her mouth. "I hope the three of you will be very happy. I love you, Albert. I really do. We can get past this, and if you want, we can sell this house and buy another one and make a fresh start somewhere else. Maria, we're done. Hell, we've been done for a long time. I just didn't want to accept it. For the sake of the kids, you can stay here until the house sells or you find another place to live. I plan on taking the kids with me, but you'll be able to see them whenever you want. I want nothing from you other than you out of my life," I told her. She cried the rest of the weekend, and when I picked up the kids, we all had a long heart-to-heart talk with them. It wasn't a huge surprise to them that we were splitting up, but they still weren't happy about it. After all, it was their mother. We split everything up 50-50, and after all our bills were paid, I still had enough to put down on a small house in a friendlier neighborhood. Maria did take care of her problem, and I did respect her wishes of not saying a word to anyone. There was only one problem. You see, Maria's mom that Sunday slipped something in my jacket pocket that changed everything. I called her the next day to verify what she'd given me. "I shouldn't be the one telling you this, but if I don't you may never know the truth," she started. "I found something in the guest bathroom the other morning after Maria moved out, and it took me a few days to get up the courage to give it to you. You see, she had found a pregnancy test kit in the trash, and it showed that someone has got a bun in the oven, so to speak. Since she was the only other female in the house, and it sure as hell wasn't her, which only left Maria. I didn't want to be the one to tell you, but I thought Maria was going to try to pull a fast one on you. Remember, you didn't hear it from me, right? Hear what, Mom? I hate to say it, Albert. She really has the common sense of a rock, but I love her dearly. Don't be a stranger," she said, hanging up. "That's how I found out Maria was in a motherly way, so to speak. I guess it would have been a better story if I'd found the test kit, or had seen the doctor's report, or had followed her to some sleazy motel and peeped into the windows. In the end, her own mother had ratted her out. The house I found was close to the one Maria and I had lived in all those years ago. It also was a fixer-upper and needed a whole lot of work. It had 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, and a large patio, but no pool. The kids pitched in, and my new helper was a real lifesaver. You see, after the divorce became finalized, we were all sitting around enjoying a Thanksgiving meal at Maria's mom's when the kids spilled the beans. They were telling their mom and grandparents how the new house was coming along and how they each had their own bedrooms and bathrooms. "It is so cool," Kenny told them. "Danny has his room, I have mine, Dad and Aunt Peggy have theirs, and we still have one left for when people stay with us," he said, beaming. "I even got to pick out the color for the walls and trim," he said proudly. "Can you go back a little, will you?" Maria asked her son. "There's your room, Danny's, the spare room, and who else's?" she asked. Dad's and Aunt Peggy's, he said like it was nothing. And how long hasn't Peggy been living with you? Maria asked. Ever since we moved into the new house, he said, munching on his dessert. Albert Croft, Maria screamed out. I guess someone found out our little secret, I said, kissing Peg in the kitchen. You know, it was just a matter of time. We never told the kids not to say anything, and Mom and Dad were bound to find out when I started to show, Peg said, rubbing her tummy. Shall we? I said, holding out my arm. Love to, Peggy replied as we walked into the dining room. It was like the shock and awe of the Gulf War. Maria was pissed beyond belief that I was now with her little sister. Her mom was happy that she was going to have another grandbaby, and her dad was relieved he didn't have to break in another son-in-law. And Peg and I, we were just happy. I guess I originally did marry the wrong sister, but that was something I'm glad to say I rectified before it was too late. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.